What is up, everybody? Thank you for joining. As you jump on, say hello. Let me know that you are here right now. Tonight, we are going to take a moment and talk about this week in Christian beliefs. Last week, we looked at what is the Bible. We talked about what is prayer. We talked about what is the church. If you got the book, hopefully you're reading along with us. If you don't have the book yet, you can still get it on Amazon, but we're going to hop on really quick every Monday night and just sort of introduce the chapters. Tonight is chapter 2. It's what is God like? What is God like? And this week, we did 3 chapters last week, but we only did one this week because this is so long. Another way that we talk about it is what are the attributes of God? What can we attribute to Him? What is He like? Let's be honest, though. Can we ever write too much about God? Is there enough paper and ink that would let us express and describe exactly who He is or what He's like? I doubt it. But He has revealed some of who He is and some of what He is like in the pages of Scripture. And since, as we talked about last week, Scripture is sufficient, clear, authoritative, and necessary to tell us these things, what then does Scripture tell us about God? And our book highlights many of those things. Now, I can't discuss them all in detail because that would take so long, but it does tell us this, that God exists, and He is knowable, and He is independent, and He is unchangeable, and He is eternal, and He is omnipresent. It tells us that God is spirit and invisible. God is omniscient and wise. He is truthful and good. God is love. He is holy, righteous, and just. God is jealous for us. He is wrathful towards sin, and He wills what He wills. God is freedom and is omnipotent. God is perfect. He is blessed and beautiful. God is a unity. Now, I had to decide what I wanted to emphasize specifically tonight, and that wasn't easy, but I'm only going to talk about a few of these things. I want to focus on God's existence, His knowability, and that He is love. Now, of course, I'm going to say that God exists. I'm a Christian. I'm a pastor, and I bet people who watch and tune into this will say the same thing. And the Bible assumes that He exists. I mean, it's a book that is authored by God Himself. And what book doesn't, assume an author? And it also assumes that then the reader has some concept of God, and more so that the original audience, the Old Testament, the Hebrew nation would have a very specific concept of a Hebrew God, the one true God, as He is often referred to. The Bible assumes that God exists, but our modern culture does not like assuming anything. Like, we are very put off by definitive statements. We're much more comfortable with things like, well, God could exist, or He might exist. We have a cultural resistance, right, to saying that anything is true. We appreciate a little bit of wiggle room in our thinking. But the Bible doesn't allow for this. The Bible is definitive. It is true. And in fact, the Bible goes further than just assuming God exists. It also claims that all people know that God exists. Deny that. And that's a heavy statement. But if you looked at Romans chapter 1, it makes it clear that all people know God in the sense of understanding that He exists because of what they see in nature. And then it goes on to say they are without excuse in denying His existence. But for us, it also means that faith is not belief without having a reason for that belief, but rather there is real evidence to back up our faith. What is more fascinating, though, than this to me is that God is knowable in the sense of like personal relationship knowable. The idea that God, and when we say God, I mean, we're talking about the creator of everything, the one who formed each person and called into existence every cell in your body. the one who suspended the earth, making it to host life, the one who formed the sun as a giant ball of gas, the one who made all that we see in space, that God still is knowable by each one of us. And not only in the sense that you have knowledge about him, but that you can know him personally. The idea of God knowing you and you knowing him is profound. Uh, because to the minds of, think about like an ancient person, to the mind of somebody who believes in gods are scary. They're lords of power who we must serve to make happy so they don't harm us, and instead give us what we need. But there's something profoundly different about our God, the Christian God, because we can know him in that he makes himself personal to us and he wins us over with his action. Because when he comes in the form of Jesus, he doesn't come with this pomp and circumstance that would be befitting a God king, but instead he comes with humility and he comes ready to serve and die for his people. That is a good king. That is a great God. That is a God king that is worth following. But it doesn't stop there, because this king who gave all expects us to give all in following him. And the more we know God, the better we can act like him to glorify him. And one of those actions, one of those ways that he is that we can also exemplify is the fact that he is love. And in fact, the Bible doesn't just say that God is loving or that God displays love, and he is and he does, but it says that he is love. Like that is how he is defined, or rather how love is defined by him. But part of this relates to the fact that he is eternal, because he has always existed, and he has always existed in a unity within himself. He is able to be defined as love. And we receive the display of that love. The love that comes from God is the true definition of love, not a romanticized love, but the love of sacrifice for someone who could not give anything back. That is the love of God. Love's not romantic feelings. It's not warm fuzzies. It's not mutual trade of partnership. Love is much deeper than that. So here's the thing. Read chapter 2 this week. If you don't have this book, it's like 2 days shipping on Amazon Prime. It's super short. It's a small book, but it tells us so much about Christianity and what we believe. This week, Wednesdays, middle schoolers, you are welcome to join us at 5 o'clock at the church. We're going to be in the resource room, the room with the double doors, the barn doors. So come join us there before summer nights. And high schoolers, at my house, 3 to 5 on Sundays. We had a great conversation this past week. I hope to again. We will see you there. Read chapter 2. Bye, guys.